we're just standing nice and tall, but without straining any of the muscles in the back. Think of the crown of the head gently rising, letting the shoulders relax. And then the traditional placement of the hands for women is going to be your right hand first, and then the left hand over. For men, it's just the opposite. Morning. And as we're standing here, the goal is just to relax, focus on the breath. Keep going. No one's on Zoom, but in case anyone does, they'll need to hear me. And this is also a good time to prepare yourself for Tai Chi, to leave any thoughts or worries at the door, and just do your best to focus on the present moment. Try not to let the mind wander too far. And if you do notice you can't help but think about other things, that's okay. Don't get upset at yourself. Just bring your attention back to your breath, back to the breath, and the feeling of the body. And standing meditation is, in Chinese, it's pronounced Zhanzhuang. It's known as the foundation of Tai Chi, where you develop the frame of the body, basically, that you then can move, with the form. But the highest importance of any traditional master in Tai Chi will say to really master the meditation. Learn to do this for as long as you can. My master wanted us to do it for 2 hours at a time. So, which might seem kind of hard to imagine. But I will say, if you can do it, when you're done, perspective is very interesting. You're like almost like floating for a while, and you're learning to, sometimes standing for a long time, people feel pain in the back and such, things like that happen. A lot of that happens because we are engaging muscles, most of the time subconsciously, and contracting muscles. And that, if you're constantly contracting and holding a muscle, that's going to put pull and tension on your joints, and that leads to pain. So standing meditation is kind of about developing not only mindfulness and relaxation, but also learning to relax the body and to stand efficiently. And one last note, I did my thesis study on standing meditation specifically, and we had participants go progressively increase each week, all the way up to 25 minutes on the last week of standing. And these are people that the lowest age was 65, the highest I think was 89. And everyone was able to complete it. And we did a balance test before and after, at the beginning and before they started the period of time of practice, and then at the end, and everyone had significant improvements in balance across the board. So interestingly, developing this mindfulness and awareness of posture does have a very strong effect on your balance. At least according to that one study. It's something that still a lot of research is needed, but it was an interesting finding. All right, go ahead and we'll close. All right, very good. So we're going to start with the 8 brocades. So just in this comfortable position, we are going to lift hands to heaven. So from here, we just inhale, bring the hands up, exhale slowly down. Now with all of these movements, we're kind of getting into the Tai Chi feeling of movement. So we never want to hyperextend any of the joints. We don't want to put any excessive tension anywhere. We're not trying to stretch the muscles. We're just kind of letting them stretch as you gradually move through this motion. And this is also a good time to practice coordinating your breath. You're inhaling up, exhaling down, relaxing the tension. And one more time. And close. So closing posture, bringing the hands up to the eyebrows, exhale down the middle. All right, into our wide stance. A little wider for you. And we're going to draw the bow and arrow. We have our hands out in front of us. We're going to exhale and just bend both knees down, and then think of pulling a bowstring to the side. And we inhale back up. Exhale to the other side, pulling the bowstring. And inhale up. And as you get comfortable with this, feel free to increase the depth that you sink, but always listen to the body. Don't push it. Just go to a range that's comfortable and smooth, keeping these motions smooth. There should be very little, if any, clicking or popping of the joints. Just have the image of pulling a bowstring to the side. One more in each direction. Closing. Coming back to just our normal stance. Separate heaven and earth. Bring the hands in front of us. Exhale, pressing down with one hand, pressing gently up with the other. Inhale to the sides and back to the middle. And switch hands, pressing down and up. Inhale. Separate heaven and earth. Do one more on each side. And close. Kind of just reset the feet, but still stay in this stance. For owl gazes backwards. So we have the hands palm down at the sides. We're going to gently exhale, look over the shoulder and rotate the hands back. Inhale back to the middle. Exhale, look over the other shoulder, rotating the hands back. Inhale back to the middle. One more in each direction. And close. Bring our stance back into our wide position. Keep the hands over the legs. This is called bow the head and wag the tail. We're going to gently turn the hips, hinge forward as we exhale, just to whatever depth is comfortable for you, and support yourself on your knees. Come around, and then inhale back up. And then we go in this direction. Exhale as we hinge, come around. Inhale back up. One more in each direction. And closing. Next, we'll bend over to release the waist. We bring over the hands in the back of the lower back. Now for this one, be very mindful. If you have any kind of lower back or back issues, just go as low as you feel comfortable. Don't feel like you have to do the full range. And of course, with any of these, you can always stop early if there is any kind of pain or discomfort. So we're breathing into our lower back. And then we exhale, let the hands glide over the back of the legs down to the feet. You can bend the knees to get there. Then we're going to inhale gently back up. Low. And exhale to the sides. Inhale to the back. Exhale down. I forgot to mention at the bottom, take a breath in and out. And then we inhale back up. Exhale to the sides. Do it one more time. And close. One last time, we'll get into the wide stance. Now for this one, we want to get into a wide what I call working stance. A working stance, we're going to be at a depth that you feel the muscles working a little bit. Now it still shouldn't cause any pain in the knees, but you're going as low as you can comfortably with no pain, but where you feel the quads kind of firing. All right, we're going to bring our hands to the sides and we will exhale, do a punch, inhale, bring it back. Exhale, punch, inhale, back. This is called clench the fist and glare fiercely. One more on each side. Closing. And the last one is the heel drop. So you can do it near the chair just so you, in case you lose balance, but we're just going to gently inhale, lift the heels, and then we exhale, we're going to actually just kind of lightly drop. And the goal is to kind of send like a gentle vibration up the body. My master would attribute it to like if you had like a jar of flour, and sometimes the flour sticks to the lid and you kind of pat it before you open it so that everything's kind of settles. It's kind of what you're doing with it, the connective tissue in the body. You want everything just to kind of settle and relax. So inhale, exhale, dropping down. Of course, it shouldn't cause any pain in the joints, so be mindful about how quickly you drop yourself. But maybe you don't go as high if there is any pain, and just try a small motion. Just trying to send like a gentle vibration. We'll do one more. And close. Very good. So that's the 8 brocades. That's a type of, it's called Qigong. It's like so Qigong and Tai Chi, they are different, but Qigong goes kind of hand in hand with Tai Chi. It's a type, it's like known as like Qi work or like energy work, like basically just like a lot of these repetition type movements. Really good way to help us prepare for Tai Chi. And then the Tai Chi is a martial art, but we focus a lot on the form movements, the different individual movements. So let's review stances, since we have kind of a new student here. We're going to go over the most common one, I should say, which is the bow stance. So in a good bow stance, right now we're standing when our feet are just like this. This is called natural stance, which makes sense. It's how we naturally stand, more or less. A bow stance, we are going to pivot one of the feet outward about 45 degrees, shift the weight onto that foot, and then take a little step forward. And the forward step, is just bringing it forward. You don't want to be too narrow. It can be fairly wide, just a comfortable step for you. I often, like in balance class and such, we refer to this as a split stance, but it's like a split stance with the back foot a little bit angled, which gives a little more support, a little more balance. All right, and from here, let's just review what we can do in it. We can shift the weight forward and backward without rotating. Or you can be in the closed position, which with the hips facing forward, and shift back and forward. And you're just going to arrange where the knee is right above the foot. Don't let the knee pass the toes. And oftentimes when we shift the weight in this, we turn both the hips and we shift the weight at the same time. So kind of shifting forward, shifting back, rotating back. But always keeping that good posture. Think about the standing meditation posture that we kept. We want to maintain that more or less. We don't want to be bending through the back at all. If we are, leaning at all, it's always through the hips. We're doing like a hinge. The back should always be kept neutral. All right, go ahead and switch legs. We go back to our natural stance. And we're going to open the other foot, 45 degrees, and step forward, just a comfortable position. And maybe start just shifting forward and backward. And try it both ways. Try facing with the stomach facing this way, which is known as the open position. And then you could try it with the stomach facing forward, which is known as the closed position. And then you can do both, kind of combine them as you shift forward and backward. Close as we come forward, open as we come back. And in Tai Chi, a lot of movement is understanding of moving our center of mass. So our center is right around here, lower abdomen, below the belly button. And so it's all about moving that efficiently. And our head shouldn't ever be moving like that, or shouldn't be leaning too much one way or the other. We always just try to keep everything nice and stable and move fluidly. All right, come back to the middle. Now we'll do a little Tai Chi walk. So for this one, take smaller steps, do what's comfortable. We're going to open one foot, get into our bow stance. Okay, and if feel free, if you want to get, 2 chairs, you can adjust as needed for balance. Not a problem. So from this bow stance, if we want to get to bow stance on the other side, we will shift the weight back, pivot this front foot so it's a little bit angled, and then we are going to take a nice step forward. Now, that's how you generally do it. I'll give a quick little way of doing it in case you lose balance, because taking this step, it's done slowly. Sometimes you can lose balance in the process. So we shift back, open the foot. Now, what actually my original teacher taught was you actually can do a center step. So bring your feet in for a moment, and you could step in and then step out, and then shift forward. That center step is what I call like a training wheel to learning this form, because technically, when it's done like professionally, that foot never like actually touches. But in terms of balance and everything, when you're learning this, feel free to touch in before stepping out to kind of get the feeling, because it is kind of a long step, right? It doesn't have to be actually long, but I mean, it's done in a specific way. So go ahead and open the front foot. Again, you can do the training wheel, bring the foot in, and then step forward. And then we shift back, step in, and forward. Very good. And let me go ahead. We'll do a little bit. Okay, so let's now try just a reverse step. So we're gonna, this can be done going forward, but it also is done in some movements going backwards. So shifting backward, we then are going to bring this foot back behind us and shift the weight onto it and pivot that front foot. So we still end up with the same position of the feet, more or less. And then we shift back all the way, pick up that foot, step back, and then pivot that foot. Always important to step wide enough when you're stepping backwards. It's really easy to step back and be, too narrow with our feet. So make sure, step kind of at a diagonal. Do it once more, shift back, step, and pivot. Good. Now let's go forward again. So open that front foot with the weight on the back leg. And then we step in and out and shift forward. Shift back, open that front foot. Step. And shift forward. And again, shift back. Step. Shift forward. And going backward again, shift back, step, and adjust that front foot, shift back, step, shift, and adjust the front foot. Maybe one more time, back, adjust. All right, very good. Yeah, let's add one final thing. We're gonna go through, we'll introduce you to grass bird's tail. So once you get those, the stance is gonna be the really important thing. So number one, standing meditation helps develop the frame. Number two, understanding the stances when we are moving. The leg work really is gonna, and how the hips are moving is what really sets a strong foundation for Tai Chi. If you don't have good stances, then everything else is gonna be off, and including your balance and everything else. So really important, keep these stances as solid as you can. You should always know what your feet are doing before anything else. A lot of people tend to focus on what the arms are doing when we do movements, but the key thing is lower body, what the lower body is doing. That's where the balance comes from, and that's where what gives the foundation for our upper body. So with that, let's do part horse's mane. And so for this one, we'll do a few just with a weight shift. So we're in a good bow stance. Our weight is on the back leg right now. We're holding the ball. If you're mirroring me, you're going to have your left hand on top, your right hand underneath. You're going to have your right foot forward. And as we shift the weight forward, so weight is on the back leg, as we shift forward, we're going to imagine that this top hand is like parting a horse's mane. It's kind of like brushing the mane side. The other hand, the feeling is almost like throwing a frisbee. It's kind of rising up. All right. But the main thing is the hands will be going opposite directions. Let's try that again. So we have the ball. Now in this ball position, we are open. So we're kind of facing to the side. As we part horse's mane, we close, we turn the hips to face forward. And so you get a little more range with that motion. So we're kind of open here, and then we close the hips, shifting forward. One more time. Part horse's mane. Very good. All right, try it on the other side next. So go ahead, just get to your natural stance. Open the other foot and step forward with your left foot. Pick up the ball, right hand on top, left hand underneath. Our horse's mane as we shift the weight forward. Shift back, pick up the ball, shift forward, our horse's mane. Pick up the ball, our horse's mane. And we use the cue of pick up the ball, because it's like you're holding a ball between your hands. Your palms are facing inward. Our horse's mane. Close. And then last but not least, let's do just a couple steps with this. And this is where it gets a little, a little extra hard, but we're going to go ahead. Let's step with your right foot. So open your left foot and step forward with the right. Pick up the ball, left hand on top. Our horse's mane forward. Now we're going to go to the other side. As we do that, we're going to just kind of relax the hands, leave them where they are more or less. So keep your right hand up, keep your left hand down. We're going to just shift back. And in this, the hands can begin to turn, but don't worry too much about what they're doing. Then we're going to step. As we step, we're going to form that ball. So we're going to bring the foot in and step, and then pick up the ball on this side. So now we have the right hand on top, left hand underneath. And then we are able to part horse's mane on this side. We shift back, kind of relax the hands, but leave them more or less where they are. And then step with the left hand on top, right hand underneath. Part horse's mane as we shift forward. Maybe we'll do one more. Shift back. Step, bringing the right hand on top of the ball, left hand underneath. Our left foot's forward. Our horse's mane. Okay, and close. All right, good work. So good review. I think, I've taught Tai Chi since 2012, so actually going on, about 10 years. Well, this summer will be 10 years. Every time, even when I'm teaching like the very basics, there's always little new nuances. It helps me like better understand it. And I think, even if you've been a student, in a class, I think it always helps to go through the beginning aspects a lot too. So, in time, if, some of us become more advanced, and we may have a, intermediate specific class for Tai Chi, but I think right now, it definitely doesn't help. It doesn't hurt for people to, for us to review the basics and really refine these movements that we've been doing. So
I like it.
very good work. Go ahead, and we will just finish with a little standing meditation just to kind of relax the breathing again. I know we didn't work. It's not like we worked muscularly or, cardially hard, but there is a lot of like the nervous system has to do to coordinate all of this and keep our balance. So we want to relax the breath, allow it to come back down into the lower abdomen, and just take this time to affirm yourself for putting in the practice today of Tai Chi. It's a very patient practice.